Hey guys, if you've looked at your hairy chest or other man parts and wondered what kind of grooming do women really want, you might be surprised by the answer, because the reality is all women love certain specific grooming habits, but the level of manscaping depends on something specific. In this video, we're going to talk about hair, where it is and isn't sexy, teeth, are you kissable, nails, when filthy hands are a-okay, smell, the kind that makes her want to eat you with a spoon, or say ooh. There's good BO and bad BO, and how watching adult content plays into her level of preference when it comes to manscaping, depending on that one specific thing I teased you about just a moment ago. Welcome to Just the Tip Tuesday. So what kind of grooming do women really want? Let's jump right in and work our way from top to bottom. Hair, head and facial hair. Just like you have some preferences, women have preferences in terms of style. But whatever your style, your hair should be clean, not greasy. Even if you're bald, watch out for shiny spots. Wash your white, fellas. As for facial hair preference, some women like scruff, some women like clean shaven. But this video is on grooming. So if you have facial hair, you want to make sure that it is trimmed. You don't want scragglies going all out over the place. However, I will say most women do like 5-day scruff. Maybe not all the time, but it definitely makes you look manly and rugged, and most women love that. But no matter what your age, the kind of grooming women really want is going to involve plucking, waxing, or shaving some parts. Okay, so what about where not to hair? Okay, while there are always exceptions to the rule, if you want to have the most options, then I'm going to give you the generalities of what most women prefer. Get rid of hair here. Nose. It's got to stay in the cave. Anything escaping the cave, you got to trim those back. Nothing on or around the outside of the nose. Ears, in or on, get rid of that. Brows. You got those wisdom brows? Sorry, dudes. You got to trim those back. Speaking of back and shoulders. Whew. All right, now there's always going to be some lady who's going to love Sasquatch Sam, but for the most part, most women don't want a hairy back guy. As far as shoulders, if you're like, look like you're wearing a sweater, then you're going to want to trim those back, or maybe even like trim it all the way down. Now, what about your chest hair and your nether regions? Well, we're going to cover that a little bit later, because that's the one area where it's specific to a certain thing depending on the woman and the man. But first, let's look at teeth. You want to make sure you don't have plaque or tartar buildup. You want to make sure you're stain-free. Preferably have all your teeth, or at least the ones that are showing. Sorry guys, if you don't work on that, it definitely makes a huge difference. So get in to see the dentist for regular hygiene and checkups regularly. This is also going to tie into something else later on that is super important. Now I'll give you one surprise that you'll be happy about. Crooked teeth aren't really that big a deal. I mean, if they're super really crooked, then yeah, maybe. And there are products out there that you can use to straighten your teeth that are really relatively inexpensive, like under $100. So don't worry too much about crooked teeth. Sometimes they're kind of cute actually, but you definitely want to worry, well, don't worry about, but take care of stains and definitely plaque. That's like major, not good. And if they are just generally not quite as white and bright, then get a whitener and brighten them up. It definitely makes a big difference, like a huge difference. You get like extra 1 or 2 points just for whiter teeth. So there you have it. And we'll get into bad breath when we go into smells and odors. But first, nails. She knows where you can put those digits. So you want to make sure that they're clean and trimmed, and you don't have hangnails that are going to scratch our delicate lady bits. But there is a time when having unclean, dirty fingernails is actually a turn on. But just before I give you that one, Make sure also your toenails are properly pedicured and you don't have any kind of toenail fungus or athlete's foot. You got to take care of that stuff stat. Okay, so the time where dirty fingernails are not only okay, but can be a turn on is if you are, let's say you're a blue collar worker, you're a dirty worker, and you're in your work clothes, or you've been out in the yard working or wood chopping or what have you, and you're out for a coffee and you're in your work clothes. It's obvious you've been working hard. Well, that's going to be a turn on because she's going to be like, oh, that's a hard working man. That reminds me of a joke. A good man is hard to find and a hard man is good to find. Moving on. Odors and smells, the good ones and the bad ones. Smell can be a make it or break it for a woman, no matter what age she is. So you want to make sure that you smell good. Now, smelling good doesn't mean you're overdoing it on the cologne or trying to hide bad smells with too much cologne. Some women like cologne, some women don't and prefer your natural smell or just deodorant. But in terms of general odor, you do want to make sure that you bathe enough that you're not going to have bad BO smell. And there is a difference between bad BO and good BO smell. More on that in a minute. But generally, unless she's a hippie, then if you have bad BO smell, it's going to be a turnoff. And again, this also includes your breath. If you have tartar or plaque buildup, that's part of what causes bad breath. Gingivitis, dental bacteria. It can even be caused by more serious illnesses. So you want to make sure you really take care of your mouth. Okay, now what about good BO versus bad BO? So just like when you're a good-hearted but hardworking, filthy handed guy, a woman can tell the difference between good BO and bad BO. So generally speaking, if you're working out at the gym or you're working in the yard or you're doing something physical that's causing you to sweat, that's good BO. And the bad BO that smells not great is BO that is actually caused by stress or anxiety or health issues. So as long as you haven't done all that hard work after accumulating too much stink over the past few days or being stressed out and being stinky, then your exertion from hard work is actually strangely arousing to a woman. Wow, I know. What about sports stink, Anna? Okay, exceptions do apply. Particularly because your uniform is probably not made out of organic cotton, so it's going to retain bad stink, and they never get washed well, not well enough to get rid of that stink. So sports equipment stink, not attractive. However, when she sees you come home from doing whatever sport, then she's going to probably say straight to the shower, so then we can go straight to the bedroom. Except for hockey stink, I don't know about that one. Okay, so you've been very patient. And now you are probably wondering, okay, well, how does porn affect the question of what kind of grooming do women really want? Well, it's pretty impactful. Everything that we're exposed to in our daily lives has an influence on our preferences. The more we see something, the more we desire that particular thing. That's why advertisers count on this psychological conditioning. The younger she is, the more likely she's been exposed to modern adult content that pretty much depicts all the actors as hairless of body. And of course, why do they do that? Well, you can see things better. Also, you know, if you trim the shrubs around the tree looks taller. But that doesn't mean you should always trim the shrubs around the tree right down to naught. Let's continue. Also, the younger she is, the more likely she's watched more adult content because it's the thing to do. But if she's older, and older depends on different generations, she's going to have been exposed to less of the modern entertainment, adult entertainment, and she might have actually seen some guys in the wild with their natural hair. So it's not going to be, you know, hair scare. She's going to have maybe a personal preference, or she might just prefer that you're you. Some restrictions apply. Again, most women don't want Sasquatch Sam. She doesn't want to be flossing her teeth. So you want to make sure that you're not so overgrown that it's a turnoff or an inconvenience, or that you're going to be looking at yourself as stumpy. Nobody wants to call themselves stumpy. So just trim back enough. And if you want to do you. Do whatever feels right for you. These are just generalities on what most women prefer in terms of grooming. Now, exceptions to the rule apply. If she's younger, but she's interested in an older man, she's not going to expect you to look like a plucked chicken. Don't do it if you look like a plucked chicken. So she might prefer a man who is more natural and has, a hairy chest or some sprouts elsewhere, just as long as they're not overgrown, again, unless she's a hippie. Now, also, I wanted to mention that even if you prefer to go hairless because maybe you got six-pack and you want those to show, then just be careful that you go with something less permanent than laser, because styles and preferences do change. So go with waxing or shaving. Waxing is better because shaving is itchy, man. That stuff scratches our delicate parts. Generally, most of the time, if you're over 25, your plums don't need to be smooth as a plum. But of course, your body, your choice. The rule of thumb is if you can go into basket weaving, you need to trim some parts. Same with the backside. That goes back to odors. She doesn't want to be downtown doing some business and getting a whiff of a will not. That's probably TMI. It's TMI you need to know. Make sure your junk smells yummy, not crummy. Beards and bad breath. Generally, just keep it trimmed. If it's really long, then that's okay if that's your style, but she'll prefer it to be more groomed, unless you're in the bayou, maybe, or having a look. Like you've got a style going on. I'll put an example so you know what I mean. And if it's really white, you want to be careful, because if it's long, you're going to look like Santa Claus. She's going to want to give you a cookie, but maybe not her cookie. And finally, the breath test. So you're out and you want to know if you're kissable. Well, what you can do is, and this is going to sound really weird, but you lick your hand, blow on it, and then smell it from about 3 to 6 inches away. That's going to be somewhat what she's experiencing when she gets close to or kisses you. So you can do that at any moment. And if it's really bad, even after you've brushed your teeth, then you want to get into the dentist and get checked. So brush, floss, swish, and smile. And if you want to know 3 things that women instantly notice about you, then you're going to want to watch this video right here, right now. Thanks for being here. God bless.